Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in your day. Hope this finds you well. Thank you for all you guys are doing and will continue to do to address this and perform well for me and Miss Tallow. Let's start with the why. So the why here is multiple skills. Okay, so when you're problem solving, and I don't really care what the problem is, the arts, hunting, athletics, music, it helps to have multiple skills. I'm going to use a fish and wildlife example because it just popped in my head. But if you're fishing and you only know how to use like one kind of bait and cast one kind of way, and that's it, if that doesn't work, then that's it. You're just out of luck. But if you have multiple ways to perform, then you can adapt to different environments, and that's important not just for this class, but for problem solving in general and for life in general, being able to address issues in multiple means. So that being said, let's look at multiple ways to solve these quadratics. So this should be a review. Solve by factoring. Okay, so diamond, A, C, and B. A is 1, C is 3, so I get 3. B is -4. Pretty sure that's going to get me -3 and -1. I just use that because A is 1, so I get A minus 3 and A minus 1 equals 0. Set each one of those quantities equal to 0. A minus 3 equals 0. A minus 1 equals 0. I was jumping to the solution already. Add 3. A equals 3. A equals 1. So, solved it by factoring. Okay, let's solve it by graphing. Multiple skills is nice too because it lets us check our work, and both of them should get the same answer. So if we do, I feel like we're in a better spot. So we're going to graph this. So let's start with what we did yesterday. Axis of symmetry. Negative b over 2a. Get our little sketch here. A is positive, so it's going to be up. A is 1, B is -4, C is 3. Axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a, so -4 over 2 times 1. And when I do that, I get 4 over 2, which is 2. So my axis of symmetry is sketch that in. X is 2. Alright, that's going to be my mirror point, my reflection. And I'll just get to work. Because I've got 2 here, I'm going to use 0 and 1. I like to use those. They look like they fit here, so I'm just going to dive in. 0, 1, 2. I'm going to use x is 2, so I get that vertex, because I know that's going to be on the axis of symmetry. And then I'm going to use 3, and I should get the same thing as when I use 1. And if so, then I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. I can also cross-check it against these. So again, more evidence that this is in a good spot. So let's go to there. Plug 0 in here, and I get 0 minus 0 plus 3. Put 1 in, 1 minus 4 plus 3. Put 2 in, 4 minus 8 plus 3. And put 3 in, 9 minus 12 plus 3. Okay, so I've got my points. I have enough to get the vertex, and I'll graph it first and then hopefully remember to come back and get it. So 0 and 3 right there, and that's also C, so again more evidence. 1 and 0, 2 and minus 1, and 3 and 0. Okay, and then I go there because that's 2 spaces, that's 2 spaces. I'm just going to draw my curve. Now the solutions exist at x equals 0. I'm sorry, at y equals 0. Solutions at the x-intercept. Solutions at x-intercept, which would be right here. So at 1 comma 0, which is that point right there, and 3 comma 0, which is that right there. Now that should be the same as the factor 1 and 3. 1 and 3, same thing we got here. So again, more evidence that we're in a good spot. The vertex is going to be right here. Okay, not necessarily asked to get this for this problem, but always a good idea to know where the max or min is. So solutions at the x-axis, same as what the factor said, and we're good. Okay, so that is problem 1. Feel free to pause it, rewatch it, do what you got to do. It will be in cyberspace for a very long time. So, okay, how I approach this one, being as honest as I could be while I was doing this at my kitchen table during nap time today. I looked at this and I thought maybe I could multiply the whole thing by -1 and factor it that way, but I wasn't 100% sure. So what I decided to do here was do the picture first, as compared to the other problem where I factored it first. So when I do the picture first, I'm going to go axis of symmetry. Negative b over 2a. Which is, looking at my curve, A is -1, B is -3, C is 18, and -1, I know that the curve is going to be down. Okay, so putting together the pieces of the puzzle. So negative b over 2 times -1 gets me 3 over -2, which is -1.5. Alright, so from there I went and got a picture. I graphed this this -1.5 right here, and I used some information. C is going to be 18, so if this thing's going to go down, C is 18, that's the y-intercept. So what I did was I changed this to 4, this to 8, this to 12, I just doubled it, 16, and 20. Okay, now I looked at the directions and looked at this graphing calculator part. So I thought we would talk about this, show you a little bit about this, because this is where you're going very much, certainly in Algebra 2. So I was at home, I didn't have all my fancy tools here, so I just pulled this up and went to App Store and searched for graphing calculator, and I'm not paying any money, so I've used this Desmos before, and I had it, and so I downloaded it again. So I'm going to use this one. Again, there's other ones you can use, but I'm going to coach you through using this one, and then you can use whatever you want, but this is one that I've had success with before. So when you do this, it will help us get a picture. Okay, so you just plug in y equals the equation, whatever we got up here. Y is going to equal negative x squared, and it fills in as we go. Yeah, negative x squared should be down, minus 3x plus 18. And it gives me a picture comparable to what I imagine, and I'll turn it this way, and there you go. If you touch it, you get a couple of important points, and if you touch the points, it says negative 1.5 and 20.5, which is the vertex, and we're going to unpack that and check that later. But we can kind of sketch it in our picture. Negative 1.5 would be on the axis. 20.25 is just above being off. Okay, and then 0, 18, again, C is 18 and C is the y-intercept, so I'm going to put that at halfway in between 16 and 20 on the intercept. If I'm 1.5 over here, that means I'm 1.5 over here on 18. Okay, and then I come down and I want to see where it hits the axis. So if I look at where it hits the axis and you just tap it, you get those pieces. It looks like it hits the axis at 3, 0, so 2, 3, and negative 6. Okay, so now I think I've got a pretty good picture of what this is going to look like, and I've got some nice visual proof here. You can zoom out, and yeah, that's going to kind of look like what my picture looks like. So obviously my picture's not perfect, but hey, not bad comparison. So yeah, so then I got the picture. I got this point 3, 0, got negative 6, 0, and then I want to check this vertex. So remember, to get the vertex, I take whatever x or the line of symmetry is and plug it back in for the x's. And another way to write that is f of negative 1.5 is, I just put negative 1.5 in for x, so it's negative, and I put it in as a fraction because I was at home with just that, just my phone, and I like using fractions instead of decimals on my phone calculator. So minus 3, and that is negative 3 over 2. And then I've got plus 18. So I'm going to square that, so that's going to turn positive, but there's a negative out front, so the whole thing's going to be negative, and I just square the top and square the bottom, so 9 over 4. Multiplying, that's like 1. So negative 3 times negative 3 is 9 over 2. And then 18. Now I went to decimals. So I divided that out and I got negative 2.25. And I got 4.5. And I got 18. And when I threw that in my calculator, I got 20.25. So the vertex is negative 1.5 comma 20.25, and that should check with what I did here. And when I click on that, negative 1.5, 20.25, which is the same thing as I got here. So that checks with the vertex, and I can just roll from there. Now that I have this information and I know the solutions are going to be negative 6 and 3, then I'm going to test my hypothesis on the factoring. Okay, so I'm going to take this equation, negative x squared minus 3x plus 18 equals 0, and just multiply the whole thing, both sides, by negative 1. That's going to be, all we're going to do is change the signs. Sign of 0 doesn't change, nothing happens there. So x squared plus 3x minus 18 is 0. Diamond, negative 18, 3, 6 and negative 3. Use them. X plus 6, x minus 3 equals 0. Set each one equal to 0. Do some algebra. Okay, those are the same as what I got here. So, all good. Checks out. Okay, so that checks with the picture. Okay. So, building an argument rationally, not just who can yell the loudest or make the funniest point, make the funniest meme. That's what we're doing here. We're building arguments. So any of you guys thinking about going into law, finance, consulting, all kinds of applications. I might even argue social work, something like that. So that's where that is. Okay. Again, if you need more, feel free to pause it, rewatch it. I was trying to make this one shorter, but not having much luck with that. So hopefully YouTube will let me upload it. I had to verify my account last night. So, alright, this one not equal to 0, so I'm going to bring this over, and remember I've got to put it in descending order. So x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. That's an easy factor. That's actually a perfect square trinomial pattern. I'll diamond it just to show you. but that's what you get. So when you factor, you get x minus 5, x minus 5, set each one equal to 0. Well, x equals 5 and x equals 5. So looking at this, knowing that that's positive, I'm guessing that it's going to shape up, and I'm guessing that the vertex is at 5. 5 equals x. That is my guess, because it's only going to hit that in one spot, because it's the same value. So that's my guess. I'm feeling good about my guess, but I want to justify it with some proof. So I'm going to try and dig out some more proof. Line of scrimmage, line of symmetry. Sorry, old football habits die hard. Negative v over 2a. Plug and chug. Negative 10 over 2 times 1, which is just 2. And when I do that, that gets me 10 over 2. So more evidence. Starting to feel even better about this thing. Line of symmetry is 5. My guess is the vertex is there, but I'm gonna do some more packing just to double check. So x, y, and what do I got? I'm gonna roll with 4, 5, 6, and I did 3 and 7 as well. So 4. If I plug 4 in, I get 16 minus 40 plus 25 is 1. If I plug 5 in, I get 25 minus 50 plus 25, 0. So now I know that's point is right there. Okay, and if it's going to go up, and again, using my solution, pretty sure, especially when I pull that in, pretty sure that it's only going to hit right there, and we're going to get a curve like that. I'm not going to flip it over the axis yet. I could, but I'm going to check it because, you know, want to make sure. 36 minus 60 plus 25 gets me 1. Okay, so more evidence. Okay, this is looking good, like it's going to be a curve up. I'm going to try 3 and 7. 3 gets me 9 minus 30 plus 25 gets me 4. And then 7, I'm just going to know that that is 7. Now, again, continuing in the trend of more feedback, I still got more evidence. Still got my graphing calculator here, so I'm just going to plug this in. X squared minus 10x plus 25. So if I look at that, that is the point. 5, 0. I can scale this out. That looks like 4, 1. That looks like 3, 4. So those look pretty good. You can actually hold it and trace it. If you get down, kind of sticky, but you can get it sometimes. Oh, I had it. But anyway, it gets close. It can show you. You guys probably know how to do it better than me, but it gives you the same points you get here. You can also get a table somehow. Alright, so that is that guy. Alright, one more, and then I did a homework problem for you, and then, yeah, I think we'll be in a pretty good spot. Okay, so, number 4. If I can, I like to factor, especially if this is 1, because that's an easy factor, so I can do that quickly and get a good idea of what's going on. So, diamond, 3, 2. Only factors of 3 are 3 and 1, and there's no real way I can get positive and positive or negative and negative to get to 2. So I'm saying DNF. Does not factor. Now, I've done this a little while, so I might be privy to some information you are not, but my experience, I have seen things occur like this. That's a 1, so it's going to go up. I know that. That's a property, and if it does not factor, that just means it doesn't hit that line. So conceivably, it could be like up here, like that, or over here, something like that, or you know what I mean? So it could be any one of those. It could be any one of those places. Okay. So yeah. So that's my guess. Gonna look for some more evidence. Axis of symmetry. Negative b over 2a. 1, 2, and 3 are my a, b, and c. So I got negative 2 over 2 times 1, or negative 2 over 2, which when I do that out is minus 1. So my axis of symmetry is negative 1. Okay, so got that. Gonna get into this x, y with my work. I'm gonna choose negative 1, 0, and 1 because I'll get a good enough picture to see if it's gonna intercept or not. So I will play with negative 1 first, and then 0 and 1. So 1 minus 2 plus 3, and I get 2. So negative 1 and 2. That's looking pretty good. If that's my vertex and it has to go up, then therefore will not intersect the x-axis. I'm going to walk through it, but if this was a problem, I could just say that. So zeros, 0 plus 0 plus 3 is 3, 0, 3, bump it over, axis of symmetry style, there we go, and 1, I get 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6, so 1 and 6, and again 2 over, 2 over, there we go. So that looks good. Those are my friends who have one of these. I will show you this. These are nice. If you don't have one, I would get one, considering you have to go through Algebra 2 anyways. So you get them reasonably online. Probably not used online. Probably not how you want to spend your money, but good investment. So I just plug it in, graph, and boomba. Doesn't intercept the x-axis, so that would be no solution. Okay. Looks like our picture. And there's other toys you can play with, and there are other features. So that is that. Okay. Let's dig into one homework problem to get you going, and then you guys have the time and the means to work on this, and we'll take it from there. So I did number 5 for you on the practice side. Cool. So solve each equation by graphing. If integral roots cannot be found, estimate the roots to the nearest set. So integral is the integer. So like all integers are this set. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, ... Okay. Basically positive and negative counting numbers, including 0. So basically positive and negative whole numbers. So if you can't find that, then you estimate it to the nearest 10. So, alright, let's dig in. Okay. If I'm doing this, I'm going to bring that over, and I'm going to look to factor first. So 2m squared minus 10 plus 5 equals 0. Good refresher problem. That is not 1. So when we diamond it, we do A, C, and B. A is 2. C is 5, we get 10, and in the bottom we get -10. Well, does not look good for a integral factor. Okay, so DNF. So might be on top or on bottom, flip the other way, not hitting, and it might just be that we just can't get a whole number that works. So I'm going to go with DNF for now, and move forward with the picture and see what we get. So axis of symmetry, -b over 2a equals minus 10 over 2 times 2, which equals 10 over 4. So x is 2.2. Alright, so x is 2.25. I know my intercept's my C is 5, so it's gonna hit on 5 up here. Doesn't really help me for this picture, but let me get 2.5 right here. Alright, so there's my axis of symmetry. Because it's 2.25, I went ahead and just picked 0, 1, and 2, and I did 3 as well as a check. So x and I used an extra piece of paper, and I advise you to do the same. There's just not enough space to work in here, so let me pull this in for you right here. So 0, plug in zeros. 0 minus 0 plus 5, I get 5. Throw in the 1, and I get 2 minus 10 plus 5 minus 3. Put in the 2. 2 is, I was reading the wrong line, 8 minus 20 plus 5 minus 7, and then I put 3 in as well, and I got 18 minus 30 -7. Again, graph all that madness. 0, -5, really can't. 1 and -3. 2 and -7. 3, 4, 5. And the same thing over here. So then I know that that'll be the same thing. 1.5. Vertex, I think I just punted to Desmos. So I wanted to get a check anyways. So what do we got here? 2x squared minus 10x plus 5. There's my 2.5 negative 7.5. Well, that makes sense if those are both 7. 7.5 would be right here. So, looking good. And I just continued this off. And then it said estimate the roots to the nearest 10th. That to me looks like it's 0.5, so I'm going to guess it's 0.5 comma 0, and maybe that's a little bit less, 4.4 comma 0, and pull this back up and I can check it. So that says 0.56, so I should round that to 0.6, but close enough for practice. I understand the process, and that's 4.4. I got that one luckily. But yeah, on a test it will have to be right, but as long as you understand the process on these and you're off a tenth by doing it by hand, that's good. Now if you use a calculator, you should be 100%, but always remember you won't be able to use your phone calculator on the test. I think we made them a little simpler, the stuff you can do by hand, so bear that in mind as we move forward. Okay, obligatory new baby picture while I have this. That's Sonia. So wow, setting records every day, 37 minutes. I'm going to shut it down and call it good, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Challenges to do a great job every day in here. So thanks for your time, be well, and we'll be in touch.